Hello Brewing. Tonight we are going to do some tasting. We have already posted on the site, but we have Deschutes Black Butte Porter poured here just a few minutes ago with a nice rich malty aroma. We are comparing that with Marshall's Big Jamoke Porter poured here. And that one's got a little bit more of a coffee roasted nose on the aroma. And then last, we're going to be comparing that to Dickey's Ale here, which is somewhere in the middle between the Marshalls with that bigger coffee roasted nose and then the sweetness of the Deschutes. From a color perspective, the Deschutes has some brown at the bottom of the glass. We note, most likely from the flute that it's in. I prefer drinking out of the proper porter glass here, or the pint glass, especially since it's got my name and logo on it. But this is one of my all-time favorites as well, and really I was just trying to differentiate the beers with the glassware. You can see here these two beers are identical in color. They're so dark that you can't see any difference. Most notably, the head retention on my beer, and my fingers are in the way here, the head retention on my beer is much better than Marshall's, and it is equivalent to what you see here on the Deschutes. And then the carbonation levels are very equivalent between the Deschutes and my beer. Again, seem a little bit lower here in the Marshall's Big Jamoke. So let's get into this. First one that we'll taste is going to be the Deschutes, and we noted you can get some of the carbonation coming off the beer, some of the sweet malt aromas, and let's go ahead and have the first taste. Deschutes is very well known for having sort of a soft water profile, in my opinion, and that softness shines in this beer. It's a very well balanced beer. It's not harsh. The dark malts don't give it an overly harsh or roasted flavor, making it a very, very, very drinkable, easily approachable porter that is really a wonderful beer. It's perfectly balanced. It's got a little bit of roast in it. The big carbonation hits the tongue, and you get some sweetness, likely from some of the other malts in this beyond the chocolate malt. And then that chocolate malt has just a nice sort of sweet background, giving it just a hint of a roasted flavor that mixes with the hops, which are balanced perfectly to give it just a tinge of bitterness, but it's not really astringent at all, like a big coffee stout or big robust porter. So I'm going to take a little taste of the Pellegrino, and then I'm going to get into the Big Jamoke. So this is the Big Jamoke. Get a little bit of coffee there. Carbonation levels are definitely way down in this beer compared to the Deschutes. There's more of a syrupy background and flavor because of that. It's a lot sweeter. There's a lot more roast on the tongue that you get from this beer. If you like a bigger porter with a little bit more flavor, I think the Big Jamoke may be a beer more agreeable to what you're looking for. Also, it doesn't have the softness of that water profile, making this as drinkable of a beer, in my opinion. They're just different. This beer is very drinkable. It's very well balanced, but it's got some more of the astringency or bitterness from both the roasted malts and from probably a little bit of hop contribution here, but it does a good job. It's got a little bit lower carbonation levels, and some of that malty sweetness kind of helps some of that balance, some of that astringency. So it comes across as a very drinkable, very, very flavorful porter that just sort of hits the right balance. Now, some technical things about this beer. These are personal preferences, but I would like a little bit more head retention and a little bit more carbonation to help accentuate that flavor just a bit more. So I don't know. I haven't drank enough of this beer to know if that is a characteristic of the beer or potentially just this batch. So. But that is a fantastic beer. So, you see me drinking the Pellegrino between batches, just again, kind of clearing off the tongue. Now let's jump into my beer. And we get some of the sweetness, the carbonation. This is a very carbonated beer. You can see that foamy head layer with the carbonation bubbles up top. Which is a good thing, I think. Very similar to the Deschutes, quite different from the Marshalls. Now let's have the first taste. It's much more smooth than the Marshalls. It doesn't have the same water profile as the Black Butte from Deschutes, but it's definitely softer than the Marshall's Big Jamoke. Tasting it back to back with the Deschutes. The Deschutes has a lot more carbonation, and it is, even though it's got that carbonation, it's got some softness to it that I attribute to the water. And now, coming back to my beer. Mine has just a bit more roasted flavor, I think, coupled with the softness of the beer on the tongue. Could be a difference in the hops that's actually doing that. This is not a hugely hopped beer, but it's fairly aggressively hopped with quite a few bitter hops. So that combined with all the dark roasted malts may have contributed some to that flavor. But I'm really looking forward to, this is the same beer, like I said, that I entered in the foam cup. I really want to see the feedback from that. The only difference in that beer and this beer is this is straight off the tap, whereas the other one was bottled using my Blackman beer gun.